Essa garganta aí da sua capa tá foda, né? Véi. Gente, eu gravei umas 20 horas de podcast semana passada. E... Caralho, tá muito frio, velho. Ih, vamos pros Pixie Buns. Deixa eu tirar aqui a webcam. Vamos lá. Pixie Buns aí na tela, rapaziada. Baniram a vai do Croco, Fushban. Pau! Toma! Respeita a vai do Croco. Respeita. Papo reto, né? O Croco tá sendo o melhor jungler da LCK nesse segundo turno aí. Nautilus. Just go for all the OP bans and instead try to trade as much as possible, because even though KL has been very, very strong on the pick, it's interesting to see it being this high in terms of priority. I wonder whether that is a giveaway to Genji.
O Jogo da Genji não era amendoim? É amendoim.
As it is a nice spread. Ton of the most iconic picks, I think, for Sandbox rather being.
Eu tô elogiando o Jungle da Sandbox mesmo. Bom dia, Eric. Treinei ouvindo seu podcast. Muito bom, parabéns. Tamo junto, gente. Eu vou ajeitar as coisas pra gente botar ele no Spotify hoje. A gente não colocou lá, tem que colocar.
Genji with a lot of different options. That Lucian that you were talking about is certainly very good at keeping some control of that early game.
A Sandbox banindo bastante coisa, bastante trash de early game, né? Que a gente pode ter. Praticamente, né? Kalista, respeitando essa Kalista aí. Renekton, né, cara? Renekton. First pick Yumi, justíssimo.
By the way, everyone, he's the guy that made Yumi the most broken here in the LCK, and it has continued to be that way. As Siva is looking to be the response.
Going back a couple of patches here, as the Yumi used to be a big problem because you can't really pick Zeri into it, because then you play into Yumi Siva. Overall, I think a really tough ask to deal with this, and obviously it's going to be.
First pick Yumi, nossa, se tomaram o edge automático aí.
Zeri has definitely dropped on this patch. And I think justifiably so, but Zeri Yumi specifically as a duo, I think it's the same as Lucian Nami. If you're comfortable playing.
Que isso, mano? Como é que a gente conseguiu pegar Zeri Yumi? Ah, a gente voltou a Sevilla, né?
The premier mid laner right now, able to scale, able to punish in lane, and able to.
Era o Draven ali no lugar da Jade, velho. Não sei se Draven Yumi faz muito sentido, né?
Kind of surprised that it's the Sylas instead of the Ahri that Closer has been prioritizing so incredibly highly, but Sylas into the Azir has certainly been something that later in the game has worked out extraordinarily well. This is very Liv Sandbox though, because Sylas doesn't win against Azir in the early game, but that's not, like Liv Sandbox don't win in the early game, so I guess we're just going to see whether we...
Ai, gente, hoje eu não devo fazer nada da LPL, tá? O Cálice deve fazer live aí, não sei se a galera vai fazer também não, sei que o Cálice vai fazer com certeza.
Being taken away, wouldn't be surprised at a Trundle ban as well. Trundle also, of course, kind of obnoxious for Siva, as she doesn't have a dash to deal with the pillar. And for Genji, ban strat's really interesting because you can, of course, focus some attention towards that top side, but I'd expect him to go for more support bans to really try, as we see the Lulu come through, and mitigate the impact that KL is going to have, because he has been...
Eu volto a fazer também, né?
For the Sandbox looking as good as they do, and you can't bang out old tanks. And we know it's an R4 Ornn here, so I don't think that there's any other consideration. And if that's banned away, it's an R4 Karagas. Doesn't really matter. Just let that happen, and try to make sure that your bot side of the map has as strong a matchup as possible.
Yep, I kind of think that it might even just be a throwaway Ornn ban. I wonder whether Genji actually respect the Singe counterpick to the point where they're actually going to ban it away. I highly doubt it, because that is definitely just the land special.
Caralho, filho. Oferece um café aí. Quem quer café?
The one thing to note is that Gen G's composition is one that really come online as a
Gabriel.
after all. I think that is
A gente tem agora LPL e LCK.
really limit Liv Sandbox, but Ornn right now considered the strongest front liner, has great engage. Not the opportunity for you to go like a Braum or a Silas counter pick, so I think that ban makes a lot of sense. For Gen G though, this is a
Salve, Sandy.
particularly in mid.
Estamos gigante. Me põe em falta com tudo em dia, exatamente.
Normally comes later in the game. Now, we have already seen
Renata se vir. A Mumu se vir. Eita! Pinot tá preocupado, menino Pinot ali. Eu tô no hype da Sandbox, não tem como.
But it's going to be the Amumu instead. Not something that often we see without a Kalista, and also a pick that I think into a Zeri Yuumi can do a lot of damage. Don't forget, Amumu into Zeri, very, very strong, especially in the early game.
Yeah, it's of course his passive being able to just reduce damage of individual hits, and Zeri doing a lot of individual hits.
Oh yeah.
Trundle going to be the pickup here. You mentioned it already, the power of the pillar. I thought maybe a Jarvan might come in, but not going to be the case. It's going to be a little bit more.
Lá vai o Kael fazer bagunça, manda salve, Lee. Então já passou, já acho que a Twitch já passou o edge automático, Júlio, aí vai normal. Beleza, cara, a gente tem uma comp bem heavy engage ali da... A gente tem uma comp com um engage bem pesadinho ali da Sandbox, né? Eita! Alô? Deu isso aí, do nada. Ah, tá, o mouse. Deixa eu ver se tá funcionando o microfone, peraí. Tá funcionando. Então, Silas, mano, eu achei a comp da Sandbox legal.
Any early plays or even invade him, prevent him from getting to level 6 where the team fighting power really spikes without so much as a hitch. Means that for Sandbox, the ability to find around the early Drake is going to get mitigated, and that is something that they do, I think, really rely on.
Yeah.
But if you make a misstep with this Gen G comp, especially in the early game, and like your Azir and your Yuumi and Zeri fall behind, there is a lot of room for the Sandbox comp to take agency of this game.
Yeah, I'm a little bit terrified.
Sandbox tá com ferramenta pra tentar ganhar o jogo, hein? Ele esqueceu que a gente tem um game muito forte, né, velho? Deixa eu pegar meu café ali rapidão enquanto começa o jogo.
Second Drake seems to be where so many of these games on this patch are decided. I don't think that that's a point in the game where Liv Sandbox are all that strong, necessarily.
But in theory, outside the top side, neither should Gen G be, right? Ooh, and that's why the early game, I think, is going to be absolutely instrumental. Take a note of where these junglers go. Look at the skirmishes, see what Sandbox is able to do.
And see whether Prince can wield some more of that magic. Let's hop into the first game, playoffs round 2. With Sandbox fans sounding extraordinarily passionate, but of course, Gen G still out in force here in Lol Park, an absolutely packed stadium here for today's best of 5. And our first Drake will be an Infernal, so not going to have any more Infernal Souls. We've had a lot of those so far these playoffs. It's been very fiery. Thankfully, we did get a Cloud Soul in the last match. Sorry, KT fans, for reminding you.
Painful, I guess.
Yeah, but I like to keep track of just how many Cloud Souls we do get. As Lehens is on his B Yuumi one more time. He is very fond of this one.
I don't really have a strong preference for Yuumi skins personally.
No, I prefer no Yuumi to be in the game at all.
Brave take.
Is sort of, yeah, I know. There's a lot of people that absolutely love Yuumi, I think just in general. So it is, I say that with my heart in my throat. However, yeah, I don't really have a preference on Yuumi skin either. I just know that Lehens really does like this one, throwing bees at people.
And looking at the runes here, do see that Lahans not going for pots.
Rolou na level 1 não, né? Peguei meu café.
Taking some precautions towards a Croco Geng. Croco
Ele acabou de postar que a Geng humilhou o sandbox no draft.
where you W over the
Será?
early on.
Não consigo achar isso, velho. Eu acho que a sandbox tem muita ferramenta ali, não?
Without fear, do note that of course the bandage toss for Cal is something that needs to be respected, but already fighting for early level 2 here in the bot lane.
Yep. Also, Control Ward was picked up first by Lahans as well, as you can see, already in that Tri-Brush, just to make sure that Gen G will have, if they can defend it, permanent vision of this bottom side, just to see if there are any cheeky monkeys making their way over the wall. As we have a look at this, 8 loss streak for...
Então, é porque é 0 e 1 também, né?
When he was almost just an
Aqui que é o after da minha baladinha. Salve, salve, Júlio. Cola aí, pô. Cola pro after. Cola pro after.
Yeah, he didn't actually get to fight at all.
Yeah. So Yumi won the game, however, KT did.
Hoje não tem dead. Hoje é o after aqui na live.
But KT did, unfortunately. So I think we count that as a victory for the Yumi in spirit. But in actuality, it's just the 8th loss in a row.
It is, yeah. And it's something that makes sense considering what it's
Nossa, eu tô com a camisa da Geng. Eu estou muito, como é que fala? Imparcial aqui, agora que eu vi que eu tô com o casaco da Geng.
surprising stat whatsoever. As
Rapaziada,
early pathing here has been
eu não, e pior que eu tô torcendo mais pra sandbox, tá ligado? Eu quero
great vision coverage neither
eu
threatened whatsoever. And
quero uma série da hora.
Closer also going for the first strike here on the Stylus.
Hoje eu quero 5 jogos. Foda-se.
The usual conqueror also in this lane. Chovy, not so
GG do
much.
Princeso.
He's opted into that himself. But should help Closer.
Comprei lá na Coreia.
Find some really nice burst winners and also try and keep up
Eu tava lá.
with Chovy in terms of early
Nossa, eu tô com a blusa da Geng por baixo. Você acredita?
Gold, however, one that I absolutely respect.
Hey, so far,
Yeah, so far so good, absolutely.
keeping up.
Ai, ai.
Could theoretically be
Tô
something
todo de Geng, que porra é essa? Tinha esquecido disso.
on the statistics that we do have available to us. As Doran and Dove fighting it out here towards the top side. We did have a bit of a check-in. Doran with a huge wave.
Salve, Eric, bom dia, salve, salve.
But so far you can see
Ó, deixa eu postar no Twitter, nem postei, galera.
only a few CS behind.
Deixa eu postar lá e dar uma divulgada, calma aí. Aí.
One is going to be pretty happy. And we'll see how it's
Meu
going to
Deus,
change
fiz merda.
as first backs come in and things like this. You can imagine that Doran looking for a couple more items before he's really happy.
Yeah, the Aatrox, especially in these tanky matchups, I think, in particular Sejuani, who actually has a very strong laning phase, especially with Ignite, and needs to be respected, especially when there is the risk of a Croco gank as well.
Semifinal da LCK.
Should be a lot stronger as we get more and more levels in the Darkened Blade and when we get the first back in, so that there is some actual damage available for Doran and his poke actually starts sticking, because right now Dove still not too bothered by it, sitting on a nerfed, but still without a shadow, without taste.
Galera, tuitei lá. Quem puder dar um RT, quem puder dar um like, quem puder curtir, comentar alguma coisa no Twitter, ajuda demais a gente ganhar mais engajamento. Cola lá, cola lá.
Yep. Keeping our eyes on
Tá muito frio, tá frio demais.
neutral objective take is actually going
Então, esse last pick Seju contra
we are going to be very impressed
o Atrox.
and will certainly give
Eu não faço ideia do matchup, mas o Atrox tá indo bem ali, né? Tá meio estranho, não?
We talk about this even though Gen G's composition does scale pretty well as well, as you pointed out.
Porque o Dove joga pro time, né, velho?
First item spikes, probably in Gen G's favor.
Curti muito o vídeo lá com o torcedor no Discord. Já saímos toda semana no Discord do mais, galera. Eita, o Kael deu um engage ali. Ué.
Very low on mana, low on health as well as they get the flash out. Immediate flash follow there from Peanut.
Ué.
Going low. Kyle
Ué.
just survived
Ué.
for so long.
Ué.
Picks up first blood.
Ué.
As Lahans, the you and me does come out.
Ué.
They trade 1 for 1, but Prince picking up first blood. That's a huge win for Liv Sandbox.
Absolutely.
Tá achando que é fácil trocar contra o Princeso?
There was also a level up
Que isso,
there.
mano? Como é que o Ule tá com tanto CS na frente?
Genji felt very confident, not going to be the case as Croco.
Yeah, he's going for a potential dive here, but Ruler looking to chase this one out. Taking a lot of damage. And there's the flash.
Nossa! Mano, essa bot lane tá pica, tá? Essa bot lane tá brava, tá? Essa disputa de bot lane.
207
Papo reto. Eita, o Kyle ali. Meu Deus, o Prince foi se matar pra Yumi. Não, Prince gênio. O Kyle vai morrer. Mas não muda nada ele morrer. Vai dar kill pro Trundle. Mano, o Prince foi muito inteligente. Era melhor ele tentar morrer rápido mesmo. Dá kill pra Yumi e é isso aí. O death time é baixo, tá ligado? Death time baixo. É a zero e não pegar XP. E ele volta mais rápido pra lane se ele morrer mais rápido ali. Mano, o Trundle só perdeu tempo indo ali embaixo. Depois.
Ruler then flashes to make sure that he picks up the kill. Feels good for about 2 seconds before Prince does the same and kills him. And then this is where Prince probably should have pieced out.
Ah, não. É melhor morrer pra Yumi ele que o Trundle agora, velho. Eu também acho o Trundle merda, mas tipo... O Trundle ali, segundo o Drake, segundo o Arauto, até os 15, 20 min, ele, se ele ficar muito forte, ele, porra, maceta todo mundo, não?
Yes, gold lead in favor of Geng, but as you pointed out, many a time that's 2 kills on the Sivir. That's not okay. It's let's go bot again. Well, it is technically a 2v2 here.
Não é pra assistir só LPL? Não, então, gente, eu já faço do LCK há um tempo já. Meu Deus. Meu Deus. Mano, essa sandbox, esse time é bom, velho. Esse time é bom, rapaziada. Esse time é bom.
Geng, if you want to play that aggressive towards Liv Sandbox bot lane, you gotta do a Croco check. This man has been camping in the bot lane for what feels like the entire split.
Cara, o que o Croco tá jogando, papo reto. O que o Croco tá jogando, papo reto. Esse cara tá jogando demais esse split, moçada. Esse cara tá jogando aí da metade desse segundo split pra cá, é insano. Because Prince is just so strong. And we're going to have a look at the replay one more time. Peanut, I mean, they do manage to get the kill onto Kyle. Congrats. But Liv Sandbox will always keep fighting. They will. Por isso que chamam o Chove de PvE. Ó, e tipo, agora vamos falar das comps, rapidão. Uma parada importante a gente entender. Se vir, fica forte pra caramba. O Sylas fica muito forte pra mim. Eu gosto muito do spike do Sylas de 1 item e meio, 2 itens. Tá ligado? O Nuclear é o Dove. Ah, eu acho que não dá pra gente falar que um escala mais que o outro ali. Eita, vai dar... Nossa, Meu Deus, o CV chegou. Agora a gente só acabou com o jogo, né? Acho que acabou muito o jogo não, mas esse Atrox aí deitou ali, né? But also that Aatrox. In situations like this, we are able to get the big skirmishes. That is where the pick is monstrously strong and of course. É, o Closer deu uma trolladinha, né? So he's actually putting those I mean, he was a 2-1-1. Exactly. 2-1 Yumi or something like that at the beginning of the game. As we get a double shuffle. Demoraram muito pra matar o Chove, né, velho? Unfortunately, it is the Sandbox bot lane that is behind the play. And because Ruler and Lands are already there. E o Prince não conseguiu ficar batendo ali. Eita do Julião, valeu aí, cara. Fala, meu parceiro, essa Zero aí também é um campeão chato. Sim, Zero é chato demais, velho. Escala muito.
already delivering in terms of action.
Yeah.
We are sitting on 15 kills.
15 kills.
At 11 minutes, Atlas.
Yeah, 15 kills at 12
15 kills com 11 minutos, tá bom pra vocês aí?
Zeri on one side, Silas Sivir on the other side. I was kind of expecting both of these teams to have a pretty slow early game, with Liv Sandbox giving up a bit of ground, given the fact that Gen G do often have a lot of priority. Not to be the case, and I absolutely love it. This is fantastic. It was almost a gentleman's agreement as far as Drake for Herald, but both teams are going to back away from those objectives. So, another opportunity for a potential 5 here. Chronicler?
Mano, esse sandbox não vai guivar isso, vai tentar lutar de novo, né? Como é que tá os cooldowns ali? Ah, o closer tá longe, pô. Os caras vão lutar sem o closer mesmo. Aí acabou o jogo, ué. Aí acabou o jogo, ué.
Chronicler, there's no way they should have taken that fight.
Ué. Ué, Sandbox. Eu sabia que o closer não tava. Se eu sabia, Sandbox era pra saber também, não é não?
Well, winning a fight not too hard. Now Doran monstrously fed on the Aatrox ruler, picking up a bunch of extra kills, and early on, Sandbox able to match.
Coisa bizarra aí. Vamos mais fight agora. Agora acabou o jogo, né, closer?
Teleport, so you might as well, but you're down, people, again.
Closer's like walking in 1v4. I guess Kyle's going to move on over here as Peanut will be able to pick up the Drake. He might not survive this one, though, as he traps himself with his own pillar, and Croco's going to be able to pick up the kill. So, they trade Peanut for a Dragon, but they've also just managed to pick up the Herald as well. And,
pô, que bizarro essa jogada, velho. Mano, o Dove tá 2 levels atrás aqui, acabou. Esse Last Pick Seju foi muito estranho, tá? O cara lançou um Last Pick Seju pra apanhar assim no bot. Foi bem estranho, mas o jogo não tava tão feio até essa fight aí, tava muito suave ainda. Tava um jogão que ia ser close, velho. Mano, como que os caras foram nisso, velho? Eles sabiam. Que bizarro. Eu tô de cara, a cara de pau deles pra dar um engage assim, 5v4. O Lehans comemorando.
About how this game is going, and you could imagine that because they're just shy of 5,000 gold in the lead with a 4-0-4 Aatrox moving into the mid game, which is exactly where you want to be. Currently, Ruler has 2 items complete with his Berserker's Greaves also online.
Ai. Pelos itens. Próxima fight. Nossa, a Zeri tá muito na frente.
Nothing else of note just yet. And despite the fact that he's 4-2-3, the Zeri got more fed. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what happens if you get turtle blood.
Deixa eu ver quem deu uma moral lá no Twitter.
Yeah, adds up nicely. Ruler also, having actually dealt the most damage in this game, it's kind of surprising. On Zeri at 15 minutes is, I'm surprised.
Muito obrigado, galerinha, que deu uma moral lá no Twitter aí, ó. Pang, o Pen Bruno, Penhorro, Rive. Gabo Brasil, valeu aí, ó. O Kirito também comentou lá. Tamo junto aí, valeu, galera. Nossa, minha voz tá foda. Tramontini também, valeu aí. Ih, será que agora deu bom? Mano, deu bom isso daí pra Sandbox, hein? 2 killzinhas de graça.
And Dove found a crucial cancel there on the top side of the map. With his ultimate, Doran tried to TP, didn't actually make it. So that means that...
Tu mandou o link aqui no chat? Só ir lá no meu Twitter, dá um like lá, dá uma interação lá pra gente ajudar aí. Cara, esse jogo tá uma doideira, né? Próximo Drake, eu acho que o Silas pode brilhar, tá ligado?
Back and forth, you take a couple of kills, I take a couple of kills.
I mean, it's 22 kills at 16.5 minutes. It's absolutely the series that we wanted to see.
As, yeah, Ruler and Prince now just chilling out here in this mid lane. Outer turret did already fall down in favor of Geng. That was that first turret broad.
Ah, o Dove cancelou o TP agora que eu vi. Não tinha reparado que eu tava vendo no Twitter. Nossa. Mano, mas eu acho que o Atrox ia morrer ali também, né, não?
Because we saw the rest of Genji making their way over, and if Lahans lives, and Doran is there, fed as he is with Nature's ultimate, I'm pretty sure that that doesn't end well at all for Sandbox. Dove, of course, could have teleported himself as well, and would have been more than happy to, but getting the cancel very, very valuable. Although I'm not 100% sure if he had it at the time.
Eu acho que o Atrox morria, velho. Eles têm que matar esse Atrox, que ele tá com um bounty bizarro, 500 de gold. Se eles matarem esse Atrox... E aí o Closer morre de graça, assim.
To make sure that he stays at 100% kill participation, and now Doran is just fighting Dove here towards the top side. Wet noodles at the red.
And that probably means G going to be able to pick up this Drake. Closer does a TP available.
Pô, o joguinho ficou meio murcho, né, agora, né?
It's really nice holocasting Sandbox because you never have to worry about should they take this fight because the answer is a given.
I mean, should they?
Ghost in the Box, vindo da live do Ericat, salve, salve.
But should they take the fight is often 50-50.
Might be lower.
Aí, página da Amon Brasil também, valeu aí, galerinha. Douglas, Florzinha, valeu aí, galera aí dando RT, dando like, tamo junto. É agora. Eu quero ver os itens do Closer. Ele tem um cronômetro? Se ele tiver um cronômetro, eu acredito aí num milagre. Esse Atrox aí é muito forte, mano. Eita, o Mumu jogou muito. Caramba! Meu Deus, pera aí, o Prince tá batendo. Ai! Ai, o Prince tá batendo. É o Closer. Caramba, o Mumu jogou demais. Meu Deus, Prince! É o Princeso! É quadra! Dá o penta dele! Dá o penta do Princeso! Vai, Princeso! Pega ele! Meu Deus do céu! Meu Deus do céu! É penta! Se mata aí, Ruler! Se mata aí! Meu Deus do céu! Segura o Prince! Segura. Segura. Fala do homem. Falei que essa fight podia embaçar. Closer jogou muito. Olha o flank do Closer. Agora, o que o Kael jogou nessa fight não tá escrito, mano. Olha o que o Mumu fez. Olha o que o Mumu faz, olha. Olha o que o Mumu faz. Ele vai, pá, pegou os três, já era. Nossa, Deus.
That's what the Sivir does, that's what she provides, that's why this pick has been B1 in so many situations.
Eu sou sandbox, meu pai.
Tied with Ruler for POC points. Picks up a Quadra. They got the Drake as well, Mountain Drake as mentioned.
Mano, o Prince tá grande.
Individual value. And
now it's a Cloud Soul.
Keeps delivering.
So we have to be very careful about our nexuses when we're going for any of these. As Geng will be able to take this outer turret on the bottom side. They still have a golden.
Quem fecha Infinity Edge primeiro ali, hein?
But there is now an 8-2-3 Prince on the map, and oftentimes I would say 8-2-3 Sivir. This is not an 8-2-3 Sivir. This is an 8-2-3 Prince. That is exactly where Live Sandbox require.
E ele vai fechar Infinity Edge, hein?
He just needs an R button.
E é Cloud Soul, né?
He's so good at initiating these fights, being that body in the front line. Kyle as well. I mean, he just wants to get in there and make sure that there is space for this Sivir to do damage. So, Sivir getting money, That's all Live Sandbox rely on, and we can see already that they can win team fights, even if they are behind in gold at this stage of the game.
And they always do. Like, Sandbox is almost never ahead in gold, but they just keep on fighting. They never stop.
Mano, como que a gente chega no Prince agora? Não sei. Mas assim, gente, não tem essa de como a gente chega no Prince. A gente não precisa de chegar no Prince, a gente precisa de chegar no Rio primeiro. Se a gente chega no Rio primeiro, aí não é a gente que tem que chegar no Prince, é a Sandbox que tem que chegar no Ruler, tá ligado? É a Sandbox que tem que chegar no Chove. Você tem que entender isso, sacou? Ué, os caras vão fazer o barão ali assim. Que papinho, hein?
Dove is going to rotate in. They do have full information, and there is no smite here. So this is just going to be Baron taken for Genji. And Live Sandbox, there is no response. They had their monkey in the base. And that is just free.
Que papinho, hein?
Well, not free. They had to sacrifice an outer turret in the mid lane for it. But I don't think you need to be a rocket.
Ah, o Ruler fechou Infinity Edge antes, gente. Mano, os caras são muito bons, né, velho? Olha essa play da Genji. Não é de graça, gente. Não era de graça. A Sandbox não tinha nada que eles podiam fazer. A Sandbox não podia lutar ali, velho. Se a Sandbox luta ali, eles perdem o jogo. A Zeret Infinity Edge é civil, não. Simples. Sacou? Os caras respeitaram. Mano, eles têm Infinity Edge, a gente não. Beleza, não vamos lutar ali. É, eles sabiam que o Jungle tava low e tal. É isso, mano. Tipo assim... A Genji queria forçar uma play ali porque tinha Infinity Edge, tá ligado? Eles lutaram no segundo Drake com 5k atrás, sim, mas aquele segundo Drake os itens estavam de boa. O que importa não é o gold atrás, gente, é os itens. No segundo Drake era a Sivir e a Zeri com 2 itens, sacou? Nesse Drake, a Zeri, esse da Barão, a Zeri tinha 3 e a Sivir tinha 2,5. É muito diferente, tá ligado? É muito diferente.
Genji loses a fight, they take a Baron. I mean, that's what just happened right then. Live Sandbox are going to still look for another one, though. Stuff doesn't quite find the ultimate. Doran still looking for a bit of action here, as Kyle wants to find a bandage toss, does not get it. Doran over the wall. Chobi's splitting in the mid lane, and this is exactly what Live Sandbox can't really deal with, especially not at this stage of the game, is 2 lanes that are pushing forward. You mentioned the melee nature of the wave.
Esse já acabou, acho que também. Aquela mostra de sandbox lá no Arauto lá foi muito troll, mano. Os caras correu 4 pessoas no Arauto do nada. Eita. Nossa, o Prince morreu, acabou, agora é GG. É GG, gente, agora. Eles vão dar GG. Os caras deu até recal pra poder dar TP na parada, olha. E tentar dar o GG. Será? Ih, vai dar não. Não vai dar GG não. Eu estou esperando a próxima wave. Dá pra dar GG na próxima wave, será? Eles não vão fazer isso, né? Nossa, aí o Prince bobeou. Quanto tempo é Infinity Edge do Prince? Faltam uns 2k de gold se passa, será? É a Genji. Nossa, o Prince morreu ali de...
That wasn't, you know, an extendo beam, because that was what was used to kill Croco. I think that was a prowling projectile. Oh my. It was, yeah.
Ai, nossa, deixa eu tirar meu tênis. Ficar de meia. Yumi carry, né? Yumi não tem como. Ah.
At this point in time, Pino also noteworthy, not going for the build that we've often seen, where it is the Divine Sunder, instead going for Frostfire into Frozen Art, incredible item into Live Sandbox as a whole, but additionally also means that especially with Subjugate on a Sejuani, which has been kindly provided by by Live Sandbox, just very tough to deal with. And right now,
O ruler é acima da média, né? O ruler ele é diferente.
I don't know how long, and probably isn't happening. And he also has a GA.
He has
You're not
just
going to win any
purchased one of
fights.
those. Yeah, Chovy's also going to look for something. Emperor's Divide goes wide as Closer does flash out of the way.
Não, o ruler tá forte pra caralho. E ele tem uma Yumi nele. E o Prince tem Infinity Edge, hein? Mano, te falar que assim, existe um mundo talvez, né? Que a Sevilla mata todo mundo, tá ligado? Mais difícil. Mas existe. Existe.
And Live Sandbox wondering what they can do as they head to the blue side as Prince taking so much damage here. Closer looking for a flank angle, but there is so much vision. Gen G can just play around it very comfortably. They've got a wave of super minions that are knocking on the front door. They'll use that in order to make sure that they can get this inhibitor on the top side.
Nossa, o Closer pegou o ult do Trundle.
And it's all feeling a bit elementary right now as Peanut possibly caught out, but not really because he's Trundle. And so he's not exactly the priority target as far as these engages are concerned. A Subjugate going to be available.
Meu Deus, Dora morreu. Mano, mano. Mano. Ih, o Ruler foi. Ai! Meu Deus, o Civi batendo. Ai, Chovy. O Prince tá batendo, hein? Meu Deus, o Prince tá muito forte. Mas o Ruler também. Nossa. Foi quase, foi quase. Foi da hora, foi da hora. Pô, jogão, jogão. Caramba. Quantas kills que deu nesse jogo aí? 38 kills.
The whole story of these two teams, we see how good Sandbox truly is. We see how well they're able to draw teams into their insanity. We also see that Gen G, that's just a step above. Ruler going in there, seeing the cooldowns that are used, knowing that he has hands on his back, not a care in the world. What an amazing ending to that game.
Might needed to have had a little bit of a care because you saw he went down to about 10.
Se você blocar, todo mundo ia dizer que foi jogo feio. Com certeza.
I mean, we can see his face now, and yeah, it looks to me like there's not a whole lot of fear.
What a banger!
That is just generally the rule away. But man, I'm so glad that this is a best of 5 because that, like after those drafts, we've seen this so many times throughout the summer season. That was going to be a 1-to-1 maybe at 20 minutes type series. That's what it was kind of looking at. These Zarya drafts.
Gente pipocou. Eita.
Thanks to Live Sandbox existing, we just get over a kill a minute throughout the entire game. As Prince did a lot of damage, Ruler did a lot more, by a lot more, only like 5,000 extra damage here.
Que rolou um massacre. Pô, a Geng pegou muita vantagem naquele arauto, gente. Foi muito troll. Nossa. Ai, deixa eu dar uma olhada aqui, velho. Acho que eu vou ter que pedir comida.
If that was a Lulu, that doesn't happen. Zarya still certified busted. Let's hope that doesn't make it through the draft again. It was a gambit, I think, from Sandbox, and didn't quite work out.
And now they have an opportunity to
posso
choose
pedir
the
já
blue
já,
side.
né?
Maybe bans will be a little bit more comfortable. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the analyst carpet space and game number 2.
Qual o top 3 AD Carry atualmente? Cara, eu não consigo falar isso, porque eu não assisti nada de LPL direito esse split, velho. Falaram que o Foutique tava jogando muito, né? O Viper é muito bom. Tem o Prince, tem o Ruler. O Gumayushi teve um split ruim, mas o Gumayushi ainda é bom, né, velho? Então eu não sei. Eu sei que Prince e Ruler com certeza estão aí. Tem um galo ainda, né? Boa noite, chat. Boa noite todo mundo aí. Passa caldo, 3 dias sem comer. Salve, Johan. Esse é o Micão. Inclusive, gente, podcast com o Micão, hein?
이거거든. 괜찮아. 단판 화이팅. 화이팅. 잘했어. 아직 안 끝났어.
Ai, ai.
시원하게 싸웠어.
Oh, inclusive,
시원하게 싸우는 거지.
deixa eu fazer um negócio aqui.
세상에 제일 센 힘이거든. 내가 줬대. 나 2.8.
Rapidão. Aê. Rapaziada, quem ainda não assistiu o 2v1, que é o podcast nosso aqui do Mais, tô mandando o link pra vocês aí. Se inscrevam lá no canal do 2v1. Beleza? O canal de cortes também. Se inscrevam aí nos canais aí pra vocês acompanharem, velho.
Qual que você quer pegar?
Tem um do Micão só. A gente vai fazer mais. Hoje vai sair uma porrada de corte do Micão. E aí eu queria o comando 2v1 aqui no chat. Deixa eu mudar, vou até botar isso no título da live. Aí, ó. Vocês viram eu apanhando pra pizza? Pô, a pizza boa, tá? Micão que deu a cal ali do lugar lá. GG, Geng. Bora pro game 2 que o princeso quer jogo. Não, eu não me surpreenderia se for 3-0. Se for 3-0, eu não acho que isso torna a Sandbox o time fraco, tá ligado? O time da Sandbox é muito bom. Que propaganda que é essa que tá passando na LCK, né, velho? Que esperado como ele tivesse eleger. Não faço ideia. 50-50. Pastilha não, tô precisando, né? Garganta meio ruim. Nossa, Sandbox vai ser Blue Side agora, pô. Ericat, pode explicar a vantagem e desvantagem de cada lado? Cara, quando você é Blue Side, você vai ter o first pick. Quando você é Blue Side, você tem a entrada no pitch do Baron mais de boa. Pra você iniciar um Baron e baitar uma fight no Baron. Quando você é Red Side, você tem uma entrada no pitch do Drake mais de boa. Então você pode destacar Drake e tentar jogar um early game forte. E quando você é Red Side, você tem um last pick. Você pode dar um counter em algum matchup ali, né? Você pode dar um pick mais diferenciado. Então é mais isso, tá ligado?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Analyst Carpet Space. Boy, was that a banger, and that was only game number 1. We had this in the last couple of playoff days as well. Kind of insane how good our playoffs have been. I'm Valdez, of course.
AD, tamo junto aí, meu mano. Curtiu o podcast? Que bom que você gostou, velho. Assiste o episódio com o Micão lá. Exclamação 2v1 aí. Manda no chat alguém aí. Valeu, rapaziada. Tem mais alguns episódios pra sair do podcast aí. Quarta-feira tem mais já. Que bom que vocês estão curtindo, velho.
Even though Live Sandbox used their draft very well, I just think playing closer on Silas into the Azir felt like we are limited in champions we can play here. Chovy had a free lane, and Genji overall got the 2 strongest duo champions in Zeri and Yumi.
Trague Prado, primo, só com a garganta ruim.
It's kind of my closing thoughts.
Tá foda minha garganta, gente.
Yeah, and that seemed to be the game plan from the start too, taking away the Vi plus the Nautilus, 2 champions that have.
Quem tu acha que leva NG e EDG, mano? Não faço ideia. Eu vou chutar EDG aí, ó. O EDG dá meio minuto nessa ideia ainda. Flandre tá jogando? Virei o Temer, né? Pastilha! Mano, aquela vez o Temer pedindo pastilha é muito bom, né? Pastilha! Não renunciarei.
They love to force fights like this one where fighting into a Rift Herald, your opponent has the Trundle, so the value is very high on that ultimate here. And fights like this that you're forcing just to try to get ahead when your comp isn't really at a space that it would fight well in at that point. Plus they have an Aatrox. Doran got 4 kills, 4 assists super early on in the game. Yeah, I feel like the Sandbox hasn't improved in this regard. To fight win to go in.
Ai, velho.
Also would love to have all 5 champions if you're going to go for a fight where you don't have a Mumu ult available. And I like the point you highlighted with Doran's Aatrox. This champion was playing into 4 melees, and Sivir does a ton of damage but still has pretty short-range auto attacks. The Aatrox value with the Yumi was massive this game for Doran.
Como que cria uma multi-tweet? Vixe, é só você pegar a multi-tweet e botar a minha live e a do Revolta, tá ligado? Mas eu vou estar fazendo LCK. Ele vai estar fazendo LPL, né? Multi-tweet. Tipo assim, ó. Você bota barra Ericat LOL e barra outra live. Você coisa, escreve outra live ali depois, se quiser.
And just wanted to pick this despite the loss here as a showcase of Closer's ability to set up these plays with Kyle so extremely well. Druid does of course get the execute here to deny the pentakill, but overall, Peanut could have been watching some angles a little bit more carefully. They could have played that.
Vou pegar o iogurte ali rapidão pra tomar. Tirar esse café daqui.
Yeah, I'm with you. Peanut should mark the flank if Doran's going to be the one engaging. Didn't happen, got punished for it, and something that we're going to have to look out for in this game. Live Sandbox are good at setting up objective team fights when they have everyone there. At times when they're good, they're great. So hopefully we get to see more of that as they try and make this series competitive.
Yeah, and eventually the game did kind of amount to what we were talking about before, which was we've got Sivir superfed and we have Zeri Yumi superfed. And even though we don't have the highlight, the third fight in the third highlight would have been in the base. Yeah. The crazy.
Nó, velho, tá muito friozinho aqui, cara.
And still,
Ruler was able to carry.
Yeah, I mean, he got some value out of course.
Não, o Joey foi muito bem esse split, jogou demais.
He was able to get Ruler in position to do damage. One of the things I'm hoping we see going forward here in the series is a move away from mid lane picks from closer, trying to find more value elsewhere. I know Jogo is a strong side player, but maybe looking for counter picks for him there because you're never going to get by the series. I don't think it's ever going to happen. So closer can't play Ahri, putting him on the side.
Caramba,
Yeah,
como é que...
team fights, but he couldn't do anything in the early laning phase. I'd hope to see a move away from that, or go all in on closer playing something unusual like his Zoe, his LeBlanc, something like that could be an angle.
I really don't want to see Zeri plus Azir.
Que isso, deu uma congelada no meu iogurte.
I think that combo is just too good. They've proven Chovy, he's lane dominant. You poke later, you can create engages too. I think that's a champ you got to take away from Geng. It's going to be on closer's hands or on the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we do have the
Geng de campeão.
check out who does pick it up for this one. No surprise.
Virou sorvete meu iogurte. Ah, Ruler MVP, justo. Será que é justo o Ruler MVP?
Yeah, I mean, I was leaning towards
Acho que o Doran podia ser também esse pá, tá ligado?
even Peanut with how much he did with Subjugate, but
Mas não, é o Ruler mesmo, não tem como.
came about the Zerayumi again. I think that we definitely could see some sprinkle votes around the top side of the map as well.
Essa fight aí que tudo desencadeou. E essa última fight o Ruler jogou muito, né? Olha isso.
And so as a result, I think a lot of votes going Ruler's way.
Nossa, ele não tinha nem flechado ainda.
The form of both these marksmen coming into this series, very exciting, and I think that game one, we really did see both marksmen deliver at times. Hope we get to see more of that.
Both marksmen. Pô, quem é que fala marksman? Pelo amor de Deus, velho.
One person voting for the
Both ADs.
on the Electric Girl. And guys, that was an insane game number one, hoping for more here in game number two. Back to the casters for that game number two.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Huge shout out to Teddy over on the.
Marksman é muito mais estiloso, é, né? Nossa, gente, minha garganta tá foda, velho.
Had a great game.
You were. You were chastising me for not going with the cat.
I was absolutely not. No. I would never have denied you your opinion, as it is more valuable than mine.
Queria minha voz de volta.
Because
Eu vou falar mais, eu vou tentar falar mais suave,
And that is,
para não ficar parecendo tanto que eu estou morrendo.
you know,
of that.
that's how it goes. That picture of Ruler, absolutely fantastic here, is Live Sandbox will now move over to the blue side.